All right, welcome everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. First of all, I want to introduce myself. I'm Karla Vice, and I'm one of the coaches at Drive. I also handle the top 20 group, which is an advanced group of clients that have achieved master certifications or above, and I have two of them with me today. I have John Starkey. Say hi, John.
Hi, how's everyone doing? I'm John Starkey, Starkey's Auto Repair, Honolulu, Hawaii.
All right. And you can see his background. That's real. It's not a video.
No fake backgrounds here.
No AI. All right. And I have Kevin with us.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin Reichelt from Stellar's Garage in Shelton, Connecticut, and I see a bunch of people that I recognize in the attendees group today. Thanks for joining us.
Yes. And I see a whole bunch that I don't. So it's kind of exciting. All right. So the subject of the webinar is a great 2020 doesn't happen by accident. I think nothing really happens by accident, or almost nothing happens by accident. So we're going to talk to these two guys that have very successful shops and have implemented a lot of the training and coaching and material that they have learned through Drive and through peers and through the workshops. And I want to start with, first of all, uh, key decisions, because I think I'm going to take it from the top. So, can you guys tell us about key decisions that you have made that have been instrumental to your success? We can start with John.
Yeah, I think that in the early days, back in before 2020, I had a bit of a control problem. I thought that I was the only one who can do things or, how I wanted them done. And I was about $750,000 in debt to the government, not paying taxes. And I think one of the biggest decisions I made was to release control of a lot of things that other people could do. So I started to call on my employees to basically run the shop. And I figured out how much value I was to the shop by taking what I thought I was, should be getting paid. I basically did the math what I, what we in Drive learned that we should be getting paid. And I figured, well, if anything I'm doing doesn't at least equal that amount, then I shouldn't be doing whatever it is I'm doing. So I relinquished a lot of control of the shop and things turned around very rapidly. I think that was one of the first really big decisions I made in business that turned things 180. Like it was probably the biggest and most successful action I've ever taken was turning over more control of the shop to my employees and trusting them to do a great job.
Excellent. Makes sense. How about you, Kevin?
There's a lot of them, you know what I mean? So I think one of the most important ones earlier on, so I've been at this will be Eric in my 30th year in business together. Is the 76th year of Stellar's Garage existence. Um, realizing I think we realized at kind of an early age that we need education in business in business, in the whole aspect of business ownership. Dealing with employees, the training sessions that we've done for finance. One of the best ones that we did was the executive planning apprenticeship, which made us utilize. It was an awesome thing, and it was structured so well that not only did my partnership grow with Eric, we had a better understanding of the business, and we worked well. We worked together finally, at a more cohesive unit and working forward, together and able to build what we have today, and we still continue to. So education, to me, was like a key decision or a key factor. But I mean, we make decisions on it, every day. So we could really, depending on how much time you got, what do you want to get into here?
We only have 1 hour, so chill, chill.
Yeah. Just winding up. I'm coming out slow, so.
Chill there. Alrighty. For anybody that would like to ask a question, we have the Q&A section. So you can write down a question there, or you are welcome to raise your hand and I will allow you to talk. Maybe? No, I will. I'll be nice. Already. So, as far as John, you were talking about letting things go, letting your employees. What was the hardest thing for you to let go? Because I know it's a little painful, right?
The
But
money.
what was
Yeah,
the
With the money.
I
money?
I think that I think the hardest thing was probably dispatching the work because in an auto repair shop, that is where the core of the money comes from, right? Is a really good dispatcher will keep your technicians busy on the correct jobs all the time. And I know that I felt like I was pretty good at that. I understood which technicians were good at what. And for me to relinquish that role, that was for sure the hardest. But kind of in a funny one, I think going to Costco and doing bank deposits were two of the funnier ones because for some reason I enjoy doing that. And I think when I let other people start to do it and I started to add up the time it takes me to go to Costco and shop and go to the bank and do the deposits and wait in line, like it was so nice to just free up another, even an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours a week until you start to realize, I don't go into work until noon. That's why this show is actually as late as it is because you guys wanted to do it earlier. But I don't start my day till it's 10 o'clock here, and this is actually kind of early for me because I like to jump in the water before work every day and surf. So you know so I think it's pretty hard to relinquish and the writing too, those service advising. I taught myself how to do that in the early days. And again, I thought I was pretty good at it, but I found out that there's actually a lot of people that are better at it than I am, and letting them really run and not micromanage. Um, I was the employee 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So for me, unlike Kevin, it's like it's very recent that I was the guy that was working and I didn't like people micromanaging me. Trust me to do a great job and then manage me. And if I'm doing something wrong, let me know, but don't be looking over my shoulder every minute of every day. And I didn't do that. And my employees did a very, very good job of rapidly increasing the gross sales and the productivity of the shop.
Excellent. And for those who don't know, John is in Honolulu, and we had to fish him out of the water to do this.
Yeah, I surf every day before work. That's why I'm still up here.
Yeah.
I just got out of the water.
Thanks. Thanks, John. Thanks for rubbing it in.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah, glad
42
to.
degrees here right now, buddy. We
It's
haven't seen
actually
the
a
sun in
little.
weeks. We don't even
Oh,
know what it
you could
looks
you
like.
could you
What
could
is
look at our blue
sun? What
sky.
is the
How's that,
sun,
Kevin?
right? All right, Kevin, what about you? What was the hardest thing for you to let go?
You know, I've been a mechanic my entire life since I was a kid. I mean, you're kind of born with it, I think. Um, I miss working on vehicles. I know if my guys heard that, they'd laugh. If my friends heard it, they'd laugh. I know John's holding back right now. So, but but I gotta tell you, I know I'm going back to this, but I really like running my business. I like having a handle on it. I like the growth. I don't look forward to mistakes, but I like being able to recover from them. Um, and we I got to take a point that John was talking about employees. I've worked for some really wonderful people and I've worked for some really terrible people, and I'm going to try and keep it clean. The one thing I try and do without a doubt is I try and take care of my employees and treat them like, I'd want to be treated, and not as like, just an object in the game of, my success. I try and have them their success. And, we're on the topic of, great things don't happen by accident. And for the last several years, and this is a point that I want to get out to the group. If you're not doing it, you have to do it, and have everybody in your organization write down their personal goals and write down their business. There's so my guys get Stellar's Garage goals for that individual, what they want to do with Stellar's Garage. It could be something from a new piece of equipment to going to 410s or whatever. But then we build on that, and I save them. I have mine, my personal ones are in front of me. Um, and another step to take on your personal goals as well, and you could do it with your business goals, is a vision board. And if you're not familiar with that, I'm sorry I don't have mine available. It's just whatever. If you take pictures or get pictures of things that you want as a goal, and it helps manifest that success. And the same thing can be done with whatever the amount of money that you want to make as a group this year, or the amount of money you want to take home. You work it backwards. John was talking about that kind of earlier. You know the numbers you want to make. You could do that, and especially like Karla's helped me out over the years with formulas and things like that. So those of you that have a consultant, definitely get on that. But that's been a very good success for us this year, or for the past years. And the other one that like in groups that I was talking to, we're always told to put our stats up, post our stats. But the thing is, the guys get it, the employees get it too late. We were posting last week's stats at the time clock. So now we do daily statistics. So the guys know what their billable hours are, every day. So like Monday, Mike fills out, well, we have the service department fill out, Mike's, and it's on a white marker board. So that he'll know how many hours he billed out today and how many he billed out tomorrow, and then consecutively till the end of the week. So they know it's just easier to obtain that goal. Now, I got to step out of the 1950s. I'm looking at putting it on, a digital platform now with Google Docs, and and just having it displayed, and they could see it, on their tablets or whatever. But that's important to share your goals with the crew and your employees and your significant other on your personal side as well as your business side. That's key. I don't know what other questions you wanted to ask, but I just had to get that out of my head. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good because it's very appropriate for the webinar here. How do your employees react to that? How do they like giving you their goals? Do they have any hesitation, or are they with
Yes.
it? Yes.
Yes. And
And how do you handle that?
and here's my suggestion. You start it early, because I used to do it like, between like Christmas and New Year, which was a major mistake, because I like to do it now very early in November. And the reason is they don't like handing their homework ever. So I will get it by the end of the year. No, the main reason is if it's a piece of equipment, like we just bought a power pusher. I don't know if everybody knows what those are. Those are little things to push cars in, because we're getting old and we could get hurt. And although it's $7,000 or so for, like, it's just two batteries in a little, set of wheels. But the power pusher, when the guys say, you don't have to waste the money in that. But then once we get something like that, it's very helpful. And they start to realize, like, why work harder? We should work smarter. So that kind of stuff. The other thing is, in regards to their goals, like if they have a tool or they have something that they want to get, Amazon, we buy so much junk on Amazon now, but I tell them to text me what they want and we'll get it. Another thing that we got in the shop was, it's a kit for like $110 for all the spare tire tools. So if you got to get a spare tire out from underneath the vehicle, instead of opening it up and going through everybody's car and all that, and it just saves them now that time and that effort. But that's one key thing that, like, I asked the guys what they want. The same thing is we ended up repainting our shop this past year to make it nicer. We 1 year we replaced all the lifts because we had them inspected, and it's just the daily routines and activities that I'm not engaged in anymore. I need to know what they want and what's actually happening and from their eyes. So it builds a respect. They understand that that we are there for them. We're here for each other.
Good. Excellent. I want to talk to John about because one of the things that he's mentioned in the past about having a stable and successful business is not being frugal about paying employees. So what can you tell
Yeah.
us about that?
Yeah, I want to tell a quick story before I get into that. So when I first joined Drive, like I said, I was about $750,000 in debt. I guess I was bankrupt, but I was too hard headed to admit it. And Kevin was the first one who reached out to me and said, "Hey, guy from Hawaii, what's up?" And I said, "Hey, how you doing? I've never been in a shop besides my own. How are you?" And we start talking, and I tell him I'd like to go visit you. Now he's in Connecticut. I'm in Honolulu, and he goes, "When are you coming?" I said, "I'll be there next week." And he's like, "Wait, but you're in Honolulu," and I said, "Yeah, but I really want to learn. I gotta learn so I can figure this out." And then he introduced me to another member, and when I went out, I thought they were going to teach me everything about running a shop and how to plan and how to do all this stuff. But really, what we did was we went to Fire Island, which is a really cool little island off of Long Island, New York. And we had some beers and some hamburgers and some food. And what they taught me was a lesson that was probably one of the most valuable lessons I've ever learned, which is how to live your life and how to, if you plan right, you can actually have a really, really good life in this industry. But I had blinders on. I could not see that until I actually went out there. And to this day, I still, I thank both of them for taking the time out to help me get there. So back to your question.
That's awesome. That's
So
really
yeah,
awesome.
so one of the things that somebody told me when I first got my shop was pay peanuts, you get monkeys, and that always has resonated in my head. And when I hired on my first technicians, I was hiring them on at a very fairly low wage, but they were kind of toughing it out and hanging in there with me. But I was afraid to ask for the money from the customer. It's like I knew we turned out a pretty good product because I had good technicians from the get go, but or good service, but I was afraid. I always thought like, oh, I'm too much. I'm too much. I'm too much. But then I realized if I can figure out my KPIs and figure out what can I afford to pay, and then somebody, it was actually another member of Drives Coaching clientele. They told me you pay as much as you can. You pay as much as you could possibly afford to pay. And forget about your pay for right now because you're in the building stage. You need to pay enough money to get great people working there and hold them accountable to that level of productivity. And if you don't know what that level of productivity is because you don't know how to measure your KPIs in the office or in the back, then learn that first. Learn that first and then learn how your P&L, your profit and loss statement will tell you everything about how to run your business. Everything. There's not one question that you can possibly come up with that P&L and your KPIs won't tell you. And I think once I realized how much I could afford to pay, and I actually pay more than anybody that I'm aware of on this island in general auto repair. So, and I'm proud of that. I had a technician come to me a couple days ago, and he told me, some of you might who know me know I had a huge fire in my shop on December 3rd of 2024. The whole place burned down pretty much, and we had to start over. And my technician told me, even with all that happening, my top guy made $24,000 more last year than he did the year before, and he lost all of his tools. Everything was burned in the fire, and so he didn't get to all of his tools back until about April. And now this year, he said, I think I'm going to be $25,000 in revenue, but in income higher this year than I was last year. And I'm as excited as he is because we all know that if they do well, we do well, right? And like Kevin said, it's not about John Starkey getting rich. It's about all of us having a great life. And if I could create a great life for every single person who works in my shop, then I by default will also have a great life.
Awesome. So, changing the subject, but not really, what would you say are some good leadership habits? I know that you have a great manager in your shop, and what are some of the things that she does there that have
Yeah.
taken you to the next level, really?
Well, one thing is, I think you always have to have a very calm, cool demeanor about yourself. So, like for me, I surf every day. That's a great way for me to start the day. I come in, I'm relaxed. I don't think about work at all when I'm in the water. And by the time I get there, I've got my thoughts all collected and I'm ready to run the business. No matter what happens, no matter how bad it might be, I stay calm all the time. I never try to show my employees any level of stress at all. And I think a key leadership role for a manager. So I have a great manager who works for me. I think for her, the thing that she does the most that I like the most, there's two things in particular. One is if there's a problem, no matter what it is, she attacks it immediately. It doesn't fester. It doesn't like I'm talking the second it comes up, she's on it. The next one is she holds daily hotshot meetings with all of my technicians. She starts them right when the technician walks in the door and gets settled in. She goes to them and says, "Hey, James, I've got, James is one of my technicians. He's capable of 12, 13, 14 hours a day." She'll go, "James, I've got, 16, 17 hours worth of work for you. It's pretty straightforward. Are you feeling good? You feeling like this is okay? I got all the parts. They're all checked in. They're ready to go. The cars are right out front. The first one's on your rack and the second one's right there. Are you ready to go?" Yes, great. Then at 11 o'clock, she checks back with them. And then again at 2 o'clock, she checks back with them throughout the day. That has taken our technician efficiency from 100% to about 140 to 145%. And that is huge. That is one of the leadership roles that I admire in her, because I'm not as good at that as she is. And when somebody's better than you at something, step back and let them run. One of my friends told me if somebody's 80% good enough, then let them go at that job, coach them to 90, and then let them go from there. Either suck up the 10% they're short, or they may surprise you and excel way past your 100% expectation. And she's done just that.
Awesome. So Kevin, um, what would you say is one of you mentioned the executive planning apprenticeship. Is there a workshop that you feel that had a definite impact on the shop, or a set of workshops?
Uh,
Kevin's been
the,
in all of them.
yeah, I'm going through the little Rolodex in my head. I got to tell you, I think I was the first or one of the first ones through the succession and exit strategy. And there was a girl, Erin from Pearl City. It's Pearl City Automotive
Pearl,
down in
Pearl City Automotive.
yeah,
Yep.
down in Hawaii there. And we all had our goal. It's like, if you were retired, or if you had all sorts of indisposable income, what would you do? And she wrote down that she would
Thanks. Sorry
buy a
about
big
that.
you there?
Go ahead,
Oh, sounds.
Kevin.
She would when she if she was able to, she would buy a big piece of property like on a big island, and rescue dogs. And I threw my dream away, and my dream then was to go help her maintain the dogs. But the eye-opening thing about the I think everybody really needs, the day you open your business, you just need to start working about an exit strategy. And
Absolutely.
not that you want to exit, just it puts you in a better state of mind, because you really listen. We could have a value, we could put a dollar amount on our business that we would sell for today, but the reality is it's worth more to you the longer you keep it. And that was a thing. I walked away from there, and it was soon after I bought the property here, so I knew exactly what I was worth. My net worth was, and your net worth is probably higher than you think it is, because when you add everything up and you look at it, and you're like, "Wow, I never thought about that." So that class changed my future, if you would, because I'm like, all right, I really want to work on letting the business run by itself, and have Eric and I have more free time to do what we want to do, rather than, trying to build the business up and always having our hands in there and everything. Now, granted, we just hired another service writer yesterday, and we go through the ups and downs, and it's a very common theme that within all the shops, that how we go through employees. It happens. So having that same set of mind, there's other classes out there that I took that, just got me prepared for, those unexpected times, and I can't think of anyone that was the greatest, but the ones that affected, I don't even know if you guys do EPA or what it's called anymore. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but that was a huge hit, because it just tied everything that I've learned in the past to kind of get me into a daily mode, if you will, or more of an outline of the day. And then once a lot of these things we're talking about, once they're in place, they just run. You know what I mean? And if you, again, have somebody else handle that task or whatever, if you will, they just go. And again, this year, part of my goal is to have more involvement of the front, the staff, to really track their own KPIs. You know, I mean, they do somewhat, but I want to kind of dial that in more so that they could see it better. That's the same premise of me having a, you know, a computer screen up with the daily goals. It's just easier, right? It's already in place. They walk by it, they see it. It's there, and it's kind of more automated.
Good. And talking about planning for the year, let me see here. Somebody's asking, and that's Austin Townsend, is asking about the planning for marketing. What what kind of marketing, what's successful? Because that's many times that prevents people from having a successful shop, not having enough vehicles in the shop or slowed down, unpredicted slowdowns. So, what can you guys, what have you guys done, or what do you do to plan as far
Well,
as marketing is concerned?
so with other things as well, I again, this is another successful action I suggest people do is if you're familiar with Google Calendar, it's you know it's my friend because I have a marketing calendar, and even though things are like even on it now, you'll see every Monday it says order flowers, order flowers, order flowers. But now I just get them like they deliver flowers to us every Monday. We have a new couple, you know, dozen or two dozen or three dozen carnations, and we give them to our customers after they pay their bill. They got to pay the bill first because I'm not giving them a free flower for nothing. No, so and,
Nothing's free at Kevin's
yeah,
shop.
this is expensive, but but so we have a marketing calendar that's in play, and then you know anything that I do, a directed or you know a mail or things like that. So it just keeps me you know in mind of okay, aware I have to do this, and it's already laid out kind of for the year. And I gotta say, a lot of that stuff's already just kind of it's automated again. This past year, I used a company to come and film us for the day from like 11:30 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. And they produced a 15-second and a 30-second video that goes out to YouTube, any streaming service, Roku, whatever, and sports channels and whatever that hit the right demographics. And I get a lot of people taking pictures of their TV screen and saying, "What are you doing in my house?" But
That's great.
just looking for food. No, so,
Hot dogs.
but you know, that's one thing I've recently done above and beyond the normal. You know, Google AdWords. We have, you know, we use Auto Vitals, and that generates you know an automatic reach out to the customer of you know our successful how we did and all of that, and then it prompts them to do Google review. A lot of people, a lot of people that I survey say, you know, I found you on the internet, and I ask like, okay, where? Here's another tip for you guys. This is one thing that bit me last year is that somehow either I don't know how, I don't know whether it ran out, I don't know what happened, but I lost stellarsgarage.com, and it's some other like criminal activity. Somebody stole it from me or whatever. But now I have stellarsgarage.net, and it was very unexpected, and it was a quick drive alert to me that there was an issue as well because they handle my web. I didn't have it. I didn't pay for the hosting from them. So, anyways, keep that in mind. Look into when your dot com is going to you know end. But we were able to quickly correct that, and I'm talking. You don't even think about how many places that your marketing has you know your website on it. So be careful. But a lot of the marketing we do, and then you know even just with painting the shop and things like that, we're not as involved on Facebook as we used to be. I mean, it's okay. It has helped us in the past, but every door direct mailer I did that was insane. The response I got from that, and that changes a little bit as well over time. So monitor your marketing to see what's working for you also. And things that start to slow down, you can then shift the money over to something else. Like if you know Google AdWords, you want to move money to that. But definitely get a calendar together, and that's what I don't really plan for it, the marketing this year. You know what I mean? It's kind of like already laid out. But that same hours worth of filming, I'm currently doing like another ad off of what was filmed from that. And we also got marketing pictures from that as well. So that was very helpful.
Great. How about you, John? What do you do
So
and what do you do if you know that you're going to slow down?
yeah, so as an owner of an auto repair shop, it is It is our duty. This is our number one job, is to keep that shop full of cars. Absolutely jam packed all the time. If you're ever noticing that your guys are twiddling their thumbs, that's on you. And you got to own it, and you got to, live up to their expectations. And I always look at it this way: would I work for me? I look at my shop all the time, and I said, out of all the places I could work in Hawaii, would I work for me? A couple days ago, we had 102 cars in the shop, and today we have 81. So we're still pretty full, but I have a lot of fleets that we service, and a couple of my fleets are large dealerships. And when I set up the arrangement with them, one of the key things, I ask them what they need. So they go on and on and on. They could talk for an hour on what they need, right? And I told them, I really only need one thing from you. If I call you and I say, hey, Jeff, I need 10 cars and I need them in like an hour, I need you to give me 10 cars. And if you guys can do that for me, I'll do anything for you. It has to be a win-win relationship if you have fleet accounts with a lot of vehicles, whether it's a plumbing company. We have a plumbing company we service. They have almost 100 vehicles on this island. There's always something that can come in at some point. And because I don't know any one car in my shop and what it's there for. I know nothing about what's going on in the operation, but I do know how many cars we have. And if my manager comes to me and if she texts me while I'm on this call and says, hey, we're going to run out of work at noon today, it's still morning over here, that's her problem. That's not my problem anymore. She didn't give me enough notice. I tell her I need 2 days, 1 to 2 days notice that we're going to slow down. And if she reads the calendar, or she reads the schedule of cars on Friday for the following week, and on Monday morning, she hands me a number, it's a dollar figure that she says, we're going to do this week, and she's almost right on it. Like, she's been within a few $1,000s every single week almost, except for a couple where we had something really bad things happen. So if you got a vision into your company like that and you know what's going on, you have to have some watering. I call it my watering hole. Some watering hole that you can go to and get cars right away. Some people do the text blast because they don't have fleets. Some people do outbound call campaigns. Some people will, like Kevin, have regular mailers that go out, especially if you know, hey, every single year during tax time, we're slow because we're in a ritzy area and people pay a lot in taxes. So it tends to slow down. Or around Christmas time, because your weather is bad, it slows down. Well, you better be going to like the Forest Service. You better be going to everybody you can. I don't care who. Go to somebody, get some fleet accounts, and make sure that you have a way to fill that shop every day that you're working. And there's a lot of days where we're working where I hear shop owners all the time, oh, we're slow, we're slow, we're slow. That's right back on you, and you have to own it. I do a lot of radio advertising. I do Facebook advertising. I'm getting ready to do field sales, which I love. That's actually my trade. My background is field sales, and I can't do field sales with 101 cars in my shop. I have 6 technicians. We're doing 300 to 400 build hours a week. I can't ask 6 technicians to do any more than that. I need to get more technicians, and we're continuing to build out the shop. But your relationships with your customers is key to your success.
Awesome. So going back to planning, one of the things that we as coaches hear all the time is that, why do I need to do my weekly plan? It's always the same. How boring, blah, 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 blah.
It better
So,
not be the same.
so how have your weekly planning helped your business? How does it help it on a regular basis? And what's the value of doing it every week? And I know you guys share it with your peers, but how does it help on the planning aspect of it?
I love doing my weekly plan. I actually really look forward to it. What it does is, I'm a big advocate of make a plan, execute a plan, analyze the results. Do it over and over and over and over again. If you do that, when you analyze the results, if the results aren't what you wanted, then you look back at the plan and you say, okay, did anything in this plan at all go well? And you take that piece out and you put it into the next plan. And then you put in different action items to see if you can get the results that you're looking for. And I love when I do my weekly plan, I actually get really excited, except during Christmas because it slumped because we were only open 2.5 days and the numbers were a little low. But it does show me that, hey, you know what? We are executing at a very, very high level of efficiency. And sometimes during the week, it's hard to see exactly what you're doing. Like, a lot of people know after the fire, I'm building another shop. And by the time I'm done, I'll have spent probably $1 million building this shop. And I don't own the building. That doesn't include the building. So, when I'm planning my activities, I have to make sure that I include the build out of the shop in those plans, not just how to run the numbers and get the cars in and get the guys executing, high tech efficiencies, but I'm also monitoring the productivity of my construction workers and building out the shop. So I think it's really exciting to see a plan at the end of the week that, hey, you know what, that plan actually worked. So you don't do your plan at the end of the week and then tuck it in the waste bin or in the drawer or whatever, somewhere. You actually use that one to build on the next one, and then you go back to a couple before and you say, okay, there are a couple things I rolled. Did I actually ever do these things? And the most efficient people in the world at work, the world leaders, these guys get way more done than any of us. And you got to ask yourself, how do they do it? Well, they do it with really, really good planning and execution and monitoring their time throughout the day. Because I don't start work till about 11 o'clock, I have to be really efficient from 11 to 5 because I don't work past 5. So I think if you're not doing a weekly plan right now, I would start doing it immediately. And if you don't know how to do it, Starkey's Auto Repair in Honolulu, Hawaii, you can give us a call and ask for John. I'll help you.
Can you
Actually,
just do mine for me, please? There's somebody in the chat. There's two questions that came up, but somebody wants that you go help them set up fleet
yeah.
accounts. I could go,
All right.
listen,
Yeah. Jeff and
again,
I love to sell.
Yeah, another question that came in the chat
is
is how do
the
you
technicians,
grade
yeah.
your technicians?
I want to put this out there because you got to be careful with fleets. You got to do it right. And I would tell you right now, one of the biggest fleets in the country is the United States Post Office. Do not work for them. They are terrible. They don't pay. I've had so many problems with them. It was terrible. So the fleet accounts you want are ones that just understand they're going to be paying. And I don't do fleet discounts. I don't do any of that. And a lot of my families have fleets. But we do take care of quite a few fleets. Just you got to really think it through. Those who haven't dealt with fleets before, just make sure that you don't set yourself up for failure. Because when you have just tens of $1,000s out with one company and it didn't snow that month, so they can't pay you because their plow trucks didn't move. Just keep that in mind. Not to be the bad guy, John. I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw that out there because every fleet accounts.
Yeah.
What he's saying, you just want to make sure you have more. You're more diversified with your clients, which is exactly what you want. You want to be able to have
Yeah.
all these other
Absolutely.
facets. So when you slow down, we pay our technicians a base rate and then a bonus, and it's a tiered bonus. And depending on how many hours they bill out, it just goes up in stages. So if you're not on with Drive, if you are on with Drive, you can talk to your consultant about that. Most of the people are on with Drive. Set it like that, and I just even my service writer manager that I just hired yesterday. It's a manageable base, and then they're bonused on what they produce because if they're hungry, they're going to go after it. If they're not hungry, they're just going to get fat and just sit there and not do anything. So, but yeah, there's different games you could play with your employees. What makes them tick? Because some of them they're not motivated by money, maybe time off or whatever. Tool allowance or whatever. So you could get creative with when it comes to rewarding your employees, whether it's a front or the back or even a porter. Those are two questions that were out there, right? The fleet and then the
Yes, that's it.
What was the question about the employees? I didn't hear that
how
question.
do you
How
guys
do you,
pay your technicians? Flag hours, hourly, or base plus commission?
I will never ever pay hourly. I won't pay them a penny hourly ever in the back because I don't have to in my state. You got to check your state laws because I know California is different and a lot of states are different. But if you need a base pay, you don't want to work for me. I tell people that when I interview them. I had 130 applicants for technician jobs. For a technician job I posted, I hired two. I thought I had four. Two of them somehow shook off the hook, but I got two out of 130. So I'm very picky on who I will hire. And if I sense that they're not going to live up to my productivity expectations, I don't waste my time. I'm not going to waste their time. I'm not going to waste my time. So I hold them to a very high standard. But my average efficiency week in and week out is about 140% right now, which I take the most pride out of all my numbers. You know, gross kind of strokes the ego, right? Oh wow, we did this much gross, but really, it's how what is your tech efficiency? Because that is actually the money. That's where the money is. If you're doing a lot with less, you're making a lot more profit than if you've got 20 technicians out there doing 70 or 60% tech efficiency. You're paying through the nose for, TDI and workman's comp and on and on and on. I have to pay health insurance in Hawaii. I have to pay it. It's not optional. So we do a lot with less, and I'm proud of that, but you got to check your state laws, and also your guys have to be willing to work flat rate, and they've got to be good enough to work flat rate. And if you don't have enough cars in your shop, I wouldn't put them on flat rate either, because they're just going to leave because you don't have enough work for them.
Makes sense. So, Kevin, at one point, your shop was kind of like going along, and then you decided to go for got
Master.
master certifications. How did that change things?
Well, before it gets too late here, I would just like to say that this has been brought to you by John's favorite food of choice, because this is teriyaki.
Teriyaki
We also
flavor.
have Korean spam.
Kevin.
Anyway, I wasn't going to let the whole show go without talking about food. So the and those are from the spam. These are from the spam museum. These are from the spam museum. My wife actually brought me spam from the spam museum. So, yeah, what was the question again?
That is crazy. A spam museum. Okay.
What was the question?
So the question was, your shop was going along, but then you decided to go for master certification. So how did that change? How did that make a big
Yeah,
difference?
I mean,
On
I
your
don't think I have this. I don't know if I have it to pull it up. No, I'm not quick enough on this today. So, yeah, we were doing good. We're doing very well. And, I forgot who suggested it. I don't know, was it you or Larry, or I don't remember. Somebody said, I got a phone call from Drive and said, hey, why don't you, go for your master? And it was a bad point and a good point, because, prior to that, you had to go to California all the time for all the classes. And then they weren't available, to do online, if you would. So I just hammered out everything online, and did everything I needed to do for education wise for masters. The two things that I put off that I didn't want to do, one was service writer school, because I don't write service anymore, and I don't think I needed to do that, because I would rather have done time, spent my time at other things. So I finally did service writer school. It was cool because it was kind of like, it reinforced why we do things the way we do things, and also I had the knowledge so that when I had my other service writer go through the class, I knew what they were doing, was taught or was wrong, and they were doing it wrong. The master's pro or the master's program, the second thing I didn't want to do is on-site inspection. And I put that off. Now, some of you may think, why have I been? I've been with Drive for, I think, 18 years. It was 2008. And I put off them coming to my place for as long as I possibly could, because I just didn't want anybody looking at my shop. And it was stupid. So that's the second stupid, one of the many stupid things I did. So I would suggest, if you had the opportunity to have the on-site inspection, to get it done early on, because it's just a gauge. It's like, first time you step into the doctor's office, they figure your blood pressure is high, and it's always going to be high. So, it's just a gauge to go off of. So once that was done, that was part of the master's as well, was to, have that document, this Bible that Jim Saley gives me of all the stuff that's wrong with my shop. No, all his observations of things that were, in place, and what needed to be corrected or whatever. But the master's, I saw, an elevation in sales, or in gross sales overall, because it got me focused onto the tiny things in my business that like dropped out, and I started to kind of like pull that together again, almost like herding kittens, because my life was starting to get out of control, and I got to pull it all back together. So the master program was good for that. The master elite was kind of more difficult because all those things I didn't check off on the boxes of getting things done at the shop through the on-site inspection, I had to finally confront and get it done. And then I also have master. We have a sustained master elite, and that was again it was a continue every year we continually grow. Last year it was a little different because I lost two service riders, and Eric and I again we could plan for all the best things for our future, but you have to adapt when things happen. Like let's say, for instance, your place catches on fire. Not that that'll happen to
Not that's
anybody.
ever happened, right?
but but the
Never
thing
heard of
is,
that happening.
I've noticed that I'm able to correct things like quicker and just make decisions quicker. But Eric and I kind of changed our goal for the year because we had a different gross sales goal that we wanted to accomplish, and we're like, you know what, we need to kind of reorganize, restructure here. And I just did several interviews with this gentleman yesterday, and he's going to be starting. And I'm looking forward to a new growth. A lot of the stuff we're talking about on this, we talked about yesterday, and it's awesome that years ago I wouldn't have these kind of conversations with employees. As direct as I am or whatever. So I did definitely see a success in an increase in my statistics very, very drastically, I should say. And the same thing goes with like going to the convention or expos or whatever you kids are calling them these days. The group gatherings motivate us to do better. I'm on the top 20 group. John's on the top 20 group. That's we call our smaller top 20 units every week, and we have meetings, and that helps us grow. And then we also go to other shops and visit them. I think, and this is the real thing, is that John, like I didn't want anybody coming to my shop. They suggested that everybody goes to Starkey's, and he burnt the place so that we couldn't go. So he didn't want us there. He's like, "Oh, I don't want him." He started panicking. So, no, I'm totally kidding. Please, especially Aflac or whoever covered you. But no. So to answer your question, yeah, I saw it. It got me motivated again, and that's like part of my part of my goals this year is to continue to educate myself, and the action coaching workshops. Now I have other ones available, things that and I've just recently worked through with Drive, saying that I wanted to take more of those and start taking advantage of that. So that's part of it as well. Continuing education, but setting that in itself is a goal. Like when they say, hey, why don't you go for this award? You sometimes people get really upset and feel overwhelmed about it, or some cases people don't feel as they're deserving of it. And I've seen that happen. But the reality is, if the opportunity presents itself for you to get an award, I would say work for it, because you and your shop is going to benefit from it. When I started bringing these trophies, like the first master one, I kind of was like embarrassed about it. I didn't really want to like show it. And then as we started getting the trophies, I just put them out for the guys. I said, this is what we as a group have achieved, and then it's really, and then people would ask about them, and then my service department or service writers would say, hey, this is what we've done, and this is what we do with this community. So does that answer your question?
Yes, totally.
Thank you.
Totally. Alrighty, that's awesome. Shay has a question. If a shop seems to be having a lot of different issues, what is one decision that they made to make or break the shop?
Can you repeat? Oh, I got to read it.
So if a shop is having a lot of issues,
If a shop seems to be having a lot of different issues, what is one decision that they made? I assume he's talking about one of you, to make or
okay.
break the shop. Like if you're having a lot of problems, a lot of stuff, what's one thing that you did?
So we have a suggestion box at my shop, and when we're holding our team meetings, we bring out those suggestions in each meeting that are dropped in the box, and we address those issues, and we find out, is this really an issue with the whole shop, or does this particular technician have a one-off issue with whatever is happening? And then I'll discuss it with the staff and find out exactly, because we may or may not know even what's going on. It may not be obvious to us as owners, especially me. Well, Kevin's not there a lot either, and nor am I. So when we talk about it and we find out, okay, what is the problem? I'll sit down with my manager and I'll come up with a plan as to how to fix the problem. And then once we come up with the plan, I'll let the staff know, hey, this is brought to our attention. As you know, we do acknowledge that this is a problem, and this is what we're going to do to fix the problem. Then we do it. You make sure you have to do it, right? Because you're telling them you're going to do it. If you tell your staff you're going to do something, you better do it, no matter what it is. And then after we're done with it, we analyze the results of our action. Did that fix the problem, or is it still a problem? So when you handle issues this way, and if you have multiple issues, you should start with the most severe issue, whatever that happens to be. But if you handle it that way with your staff and you get them involved and you inform them as you're making progress and you inform them with what you view the results to be and verify with them that the results are what you think the results are and the problem has gone away, then you've done a great job as an owner of addressing an employee's concern. Because let's all face it, we've all had employees leave for reasons that we probably didn't even know existed, and some of them may have been extremely minor. I've lost some really good employees over the years, and I always scratch my head when they don't tell me why they left, because I do try to talk to them all when they leave. So communication with your staff will fix most of your problems.
That
Excellent. Go
one of the
ahead.
things I do when when I interview people, the one of the first and foremost things is I don't want drama anymore in my world, and we all have to we all got to get along together because nobody likes to go to work. Nobody wakes up every morning and says, I can't wait to get to work, and then consistently for their entire life. So sooner or later, they're like, man, I don't want to go to work. But when you wake up in the morning, you don't want to go to work because you don't want to stand next to that person, or you don't want to work with this person, or it's an environment, not an environmental thing, more or less, but just that type of group, then it's time to bail. As far as what happened, what do I do? I am very proactive on everything. If I see that somebody needs help, whether it's through Drive Community or Facebook or whatever, I pick up the phone and I call them and I address it then. When something starts to happen here that's going to create that kind of drama, it's within the last year. I remember I had to go in the back and discipline the techs because they're miserable and they're going, we get parts in and they're wrong. Yeah, no kidding. Every shop, every day gets a part that's either ordered wrong, boxed wrong, or something. Every day you go in, something's going to happen. But for
Yeah.
some reason, my lead tech since 1985 doesn't realize that tomorrow the same thing's going to happen, and he starts taking it out on the front. So we ended that, and that's now done. And so the thing is that you take you take what you think is going to be the most, you put out the closest fire first, I guess, you know what I mean, and then you go from there. Marie, I think it was Mary had a question about
Yeah, hold
debt.
on a second. I
Yeah.
want to, I need to do this poll right now. Powers of being. And so
Yeah,
I
it's
still have
out.
a couple of questions, but let's do the poll real quick so that because I have a couple of key questions here.
Cool. Yeah, it's out there.
So can you guys fill out the poll real quick, please? The
Me,
sooner we get it around, the better.
we good?
This is this is your payment for doing the webinar.
Maple flavored.
There's really a museum for spam.
She
It's
went
really
to a
is this.
museum, the spam museum.
They shut down our main drag out here in Waikiki once a year for an entire day for a spam festival. So, and I'm not kidding. Look it up online. It's real. Spam.
Okay.
They consume more spam in Hawaii than I think the rest of the world
Yeah.
combined.
Well, that's
Remember, Kevin, I told you
lobster
last night,
flavor.
that when I was a kid, spam was for poor people. Vienna
Yeah.
sausage is in spam, and I don't
Yeah.
even know what it tastes like
Yeah.
because my mom cooked good
So
food
I
for
guess
us.
you were too rich.
All right, so we
My
can move
mom's
on.
listening.
So
Hold on
the
a second, not done yet.
it says Tony sent the survey. You can move. Come
Tony
on,
will let us know.
Tony.
The poll is still up and people are still filling it out, but that's fine. You
Okay.
guys can move on. They were filling it out before you told them about it, so it's no big deal.
All right, so we go.
All right.
So we
Still
can
thumbs
move
up.
on?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
So
the
that
good.
means
the
I'm
same
I'm
thing.
gonna leave it open, but they can just be filling it
Yeah,
out
so
while
the
you guys
the
talk.
same thing about putting out the closest fire to you in the shop when you got some drama going on or something that needs to be addressed. The same kind of aspect I did with my finances. Um, I for a while was I I was not I'm debt free, so it took a while to get there, and I just addressed it very strongly, and it was a financial class that I came back from and just went at it as tough as quickly and as directly as I could to pay off anything that has the highest interest rate. Believe me, there's an algorithm to it. You just want to get that down first. They were asking how you got out of that hole, John.
How do you
Oh,
get the company out of debt? What pushed you to keep going?
yeah. Well, I so when I started with Drive, I rapidly learned that I really don't know at all what I'm doing. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I had no accounting at all. I wasn't paying a dollar in taxes or, workman's comp or TDI or, I mean, federal, state income tax. I was keeping that too. Payroll tax, I was keeping that too because I was barely keeping the company afloat. So then all of it came crashing down when I talked to an advisor and he said, you have to go and talk to all of these people. And I'm like, well, I don't think that's a good idea. And he said, if they come talk to you, they could lock your doors and then you're done for good. So we went and I talked to everybody and I explained to them what was going on. And I told them, in fact, I wrote out a big plan that I had gone over with my drive coach on how we were going to dig out of this massive hole. And I told them that, look, this is the company that I'm signed up with, and they're going to help me. And I have good customers because I have household name customers that for fleets, like everybody knows them, right? So I said, these are my customers. I had them write a letter as to what our relationship was. They didn't really know why they were writing it. I just had to submit it to the state government to show them that I could pay my taxes back. And we put together a payment plan. And I still spend an awful lot of money in my shop without, I haven't paid down the taxes completely. I think I'm down to $250,000, and I was at $750,000 when all of this started. So I think that staying really, really focused on the numbers, really managing using your P&L and using your KPIs is the only way. And Carla's been my coach now for a few years, and we talk about that debt a lot. And it's built into my budget. It's built in. I just did my owner break even with her yesterday. And, I've got what is it, Carla? 45, 55, $6,000 every single month going out to pay down tax debt. So it's not easy. It's very scary. I used to lose sleep over it. I don't anymore because I know that I'm doing the best I can. And as long as I'm doing the best I can, and I know everybody in the tax office, I address everybody by name. They're, oh, Mr. Starkey. I'm like, I don't know if I really want to be known by these people, but it's like, it's kind of funny. It's kind of like now I enjoy it. Like, hey, I know the people in the tax office. And I ask them how they're doing. How was your Christmas? And I'm very friendly with all of them, and they are human too. They're just doing a job. They're not scary. They don't bite. They're nice, and I've actually come to enjoy engaging with these people. So you make it another challenge. It's in your business plan. It's on the it's always on your mind, but you pay it down as fast as you can because it's hard. It's if anybody's going through that and want any help with how to deal with it, you can give me a call. But yeah, it's rough.
So I have one last question here for John, and then I'll get your guys' comments. But um, you know, you had a fire over a
Uh-huh.
year ago, December
Mm-hmm.
2024.
A
I
big one.
mean, yes, it was, I'm sure I know that it was devastating.
Yeah.
Really tell us what it was that made you, you know, get up and walk and turn things around to the point that last week you made $109,000 for the week. So
Yeah.
what inspired you? Because I mean, most people would go like, holy smokes, that's it, or whatever. I mean, it's easy to want to give up or whatever, but tell us what was the inspiration and what made you keep going?
Yeah, so the fire did about $1 million in damage for those who don't know me. It wiped out two-thirds of the shop entirely. We lost a lot, 15 cars inside. It was bad. It was really bad. So my manager, I was actually out visiting my mom when this happened. I was on a plane to go visit for a funeral for my auntie. But so my manager, when I got back, he called me up, and I was actually purchasing a scissor lift so I can get up high enough to start scrubbing the walls of the damaged building because it's cinder blocks, so the walls were actually still standing. And he told me, he starts crying. He's like, we're sitting in my truck and he's crying. And he's like, I think you should shut it down. The guys don't have your back. Nobody believes in what you're doing. And yada, yada. He goes on for like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes and he's crying. And he was my right hand man. It was like Eric to Kevin, and I was getting sad, but I was also getting mad because I didn't feel that the employees didn't have my back. I didn't feel that the company was destroyed as a company, as a physical entity. Yeah, it was destroyed, but we have a brand out here. And I knew at the time of the fire a heck of a lot more about running a shop, how to do it. I have customers, I have employees, and I have knowledge. When I started this journey, I had none of that. I didn't have anything. I'd never been in an auto repair shop. I'm not from this industry. And we built it up to, we did a little over 3 million the year of the fire. So I think that I got so mad. Well, then of course I called my top two, my peer group, right, that I'm in with Drive, and they're like, "How dare he tell you that? How dare he? We're going to call him right now." Well, they called him, and he ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks, not because they beat him up, because he was so sick from the exhaustion from the fire. He was in the hospital for a long time, and it wiped him out, and it wiped out his spirit. He doesn't even work for me anymore. It wiped out his spirit, and I feel really bad for what he went through. But the fire destroyed him. It didn't destroy me or my business. And, we're back on track. My landlord everybody backed me. Everybody called me up and said, we got your back. We got your back. All my key business partners, Drive, you guys called me. Kevin called me. Everybody was calling me. Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, I guess I'm okay. If you guys say I'm okay, I'm okay. Let's go. And you just kind of like, I realized I had to stop surfing every day and I had to really focus on the business again and get back in there and start building. We were working in the dirt on the dirt ground in our new building that the landlord assigned to me, which is over twice the size of my old building. We're going to have 26 lifts in there, and my target for that shop is 12 million a year in revenue. And I kind of jokingly, I was sitting in Florida in a Drive meeting and I thought, God, doesn't $1 million a month sound like a great target? But that's kind of stupid. How would you ever do that? Well, burn it down and rebuild it. And that's what we did. So now, so now here we are on this great pace. And it's actually more exciting now than I think the shop has ever been to me, because of what the opportunity that came out of what happened. And one of my peers told me, he goes, John, everybody I know that's ever been through something as devastating as that, something great happened. And this is like a month after the place is burned down and I'm closed and I'm losing $9,000 a day. And I'm looking at him going, man, you've lost your mind. There's no way is any good going to come out of this. This is horrible. I'm losing my, and remember, I'm deep in debt still with the government. And now I'm losing even more money. And yes, insurance did pay. They paid me $660,000 and the total damage was $1 million. So now I'm another 300 something, whatever that is, in debt on top of the debt. But it's like, again, successful people run negative. They run in debt a lot. And then all of a sudden, boom, you take off. I mean, Elon Musk was borrowing millions from his friends to build his company and look at him today. So anything can be done as long as you have a good plan, you have good people around you, and you have drive. You have to have that determination. If you don't have determination, if you can't get yourself up in the morning and get to work and work really hard and not look around like, what should I do? if that's you, then I don't know if this business is right for you. And I hate to be that honest and tell people that, but if you're driven and you want to succeed, man, the world is your oyster, and you should go get it, because this is a great industry. It's so lucrative. It's easy in a lot of ways and hard in some. And we all know what's hard in this business, but it's not, I mean, I can't believe how easy this industry is to sell. Like selling services, cars repair services. I've never sold anything easier than this. It's like selling candy in a kindergartner to a kindergartner. It's like, yeah, I'll take that. It really is.
That's awesome. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. It is an amazing story.
Yeah,
Alrighty,
it's fun.
so to wrap up, any final comments from either one of you?
I'll go first, Kevin, if you don't mind. I think the
Go ahead.
one thing that people really have to understand is the difference between goals and targets. And this is something that I learned when I went out to Montana to visit one of the guys. His name's Travis's shop. And he got up there and he was talking to us about this. And this resonated very loudly with me. I was like, wow, that is brilliant. A target is something like, and I'll tell you a really quick story. I was sitting down with my technicians one day, and what my junior tech, he's a C tech. He said, "Hey, what's the goal?" And my other technicians were sitting there, and I said, "What do you mean? What's the goal?" He goes, "What's your goal?" I go, "My goal for what?" He goes, "Your goal for me." And I said, I don't know. It'd be nice if you can hit 40 hours a week. And everybody would probably say that's probably the right thing to say to this guy, right? But it wasn't at all, because I had senior technicians sitting there, and one of my guys who's an A tech, he started building 40 hours a week. And I was scratching my head. I'm like, I used to do 60. So one day I asked him, I go, James, I said, your production slacked off. And he goes, yeah, the goal's 40. And I'm like, whose goal? And he goes, we were sitting there. You told Papu that the goal is 40 for your technicians. And I'm like, no, 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 no. So the target for Papu is 40. The goal is to improve your productivity to the level that would be acceptable for me to run a profitable shop. So, like, if you look at a goal is really general. My goal is I want to improve tech efficiency, or I want to improve my gross revenue, or I want to do this, I want to do that. When you set targets, and I told James, my technician, I said, my target is billing 300 hours a week every single week. That's what it takes to run this place. I only have 6 technicians. 6 times 4 does not equal 300 if you roll it out for the week, right? So
Right.
I said, I need you to do your target is 60. Well, James did 80 last week. James, when I looked at the end of the day yesterday, which was Tuesday, he had 32 hours billed, Monday and Tuesday. So he
Wow.
no longer does 40 hours. He's doing 60, 70, 80 hours. And you have to be careful when you're talking to your people about what does something mean to them. Never talk dollars with your technicians. Dollars make you sound rich. What you talk to your technicians about is build hours. Now you're speaking their language. When you're talking to your advisors, you can talk about money, because they sell hours. Talk about build hours and money, because they understand all that. Average RO, speak their language. If you don't speak the correct language to your employees, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. And I think setting expectations and really hitting on the importance of hitting those expectations, what it means to everybody, is the key to success in this industry.
Excellent. Excellent. Very good. Alrighty, Kevin,
So
final, your final
my
thoughts?
final thoughts is that everybody that's on this call, I wish you very much success in 2026. Set your goals, set your targets, but the biggest thing, excuse me, biggest takeaway I think you should understand here is that all of us are literally a phone call away. So just pick up the phone, call us. John and I have called each other in the middle of the day and night, depending on our time differences.
We were talking yesterday.
Yeah, last night as I was. So the thing to remember is we've all fallen down and had to brush ourselves off and get back up. And sometimes it just keeps happening, but you'll get through it. I know a lot of people I see in this group. I'm not going to call out any names. Have been through tough times, and some of them are still going through them. But
Yeah.
if we could help, if I could help in any way, if anybody on this call can help in any way, please reach out and just give us a phone call, and don't give up, because it's getting a little bit more harder to keep customers, to keep employees, to keep things going. But again, I've been chugging away at it 30 years. It's the only thing you can do is just plan for things and just check off that list. And that's another thing I meant to mention is Eric, my partner, is awesome at daily checklists, and he hammers them out. And if they don't get done, it just gets put on tomorrow's list. So he isn't devastated at 5 o'clock when he didn't get everything done, but at least he has that he looks at daily. So do your best, and again, if we can help you in any way, reach out. And I hope you guys got something from it, and go out and enjoy some canned spam.
Sometimes it's just one person saying one thing
Yeah.
that, I want to tell one quick story. I was at a convention with Drive once, and I had a problem with my accounting, and I was just griping and griping and griping to this guy out of South Carolina. He's a really, really nice business owner, super successful. I was like, man, my accounting, my accounting. And some guy, he just looks over at me. I have no idea who he is. I don't know his name. I don't know where he's from. And I'd probably never recognize him if I saw him again. He goes, you need Parmelis. And he walked away. And I was like, that's like, I was like, what did he say? And the guy goes, he said, you need Parmelis. He goes, you should look up that company and find out who they are. I love them. They're the most awesome. They're doing all my accounting, all my, and they got me out of that big mess that I was in. And yeah, it was very expensive to get out of that mess. But I tell you what, I understand my numbers. I understand what my company's at. I understand everything that's going on. Thanks to them, I had 4 accountants tell me, we're not going to take you on as a client because you're going to be terrible. And I was like, I was so hurt, by them not taking me on. But the guys at Parmel's are like, yeah, sure, we'll take it on, and this is what we're gonna have to do. And I'm like, okay, and it's gonna cost you this much. I'm like, oh gee, I don't really have the money, but I can't afford not to do this. And it's been absolutely wonderful. So sometimes it's just that one little thing that somebody that you don't even know or somebody you do know says, and you're just like, oh wow, the light bulb just went on. It's like, wow, that was really one of the pivotal points in our success was getting a great accounting company to help us out of the mess. Accountants should
Awesome.
make you money.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you, everybody, for attending the webinar. Hopefully you got something out of it, or a lot of it, hopefully. And
We hope so. You got our
reach
names and now
out.
you know our numbers, so call us.
Right.
And also reach out to your coaches if you're having trouble. And you can also reach out to me. I'm totally available to help anybody. All right. Have a
Thank you.
good
Thank you,
evening, and,
guys.
and have an awesome 2026.
Thank you,
Let's do
everyone.
it.
Thank you.
Yay.